Okay, we are back with another professional water cooler chat. And we are doing these really quick conversations for a few reasons. As a visibility expert and someone who does strategic partnerships, I want to normalize having conversations with strangers, people you don't know, and also to bring people that I come across in my day that I find doing interesting things back to you on your radar. So we are streaming to LinkedIn, and we're actually streaming to Facebook as well.
Yes.
And what I like to do is first let's start from the beginning. Please introduce yourself.
I'm Bruce Hill, sales professional. Started New Skills, New You, helping young professionals learn the skills they need to advance their life and career.
Awesome, awesome. So we are talking about professional storytelling. We're talking about storytelling
Yes.
related to, yes, having that to build your professional life and career. Slash, this is also Nurses Month, right at
Mhm.
the end of Nurses Week. And nurses are, oh goodness, there's like 3 or 4 million nurses. They're like the largest group of healthcare professionals there are. And a lot of nurses, they're thinking about their career, maybe shifting into doing something else, maybe expanding with what they're doing in their nursing career, but they're challenged with telling their professional story. They're
Mm.
challenged with talking about how what they do matters, how to transfer their skills into something else. And how
Mm.
you got on my radar actually is from one of your clients. One of your clients actually, hey, Stephen, how are you? Good morning. Good morning. One of your clients actually, I interviewed her, and the way she told her story was so masterful. It actually resulted in someone reaching out to me to say, hey, so and so you just interviewed. Um, I'm thinking of hiring somebody. Can you make an introduction? So, and I asked her, I was like, hey, how did you learn how to tell your story in that way? How did you learn how to tell your story in that way? And she said that she worked with you. That she work with you. So I said, you know what? Let me just reach out to you and hear more about your thoughts on professional storytelling, how you support people, and also good morning to Ann Newley. Happy Nurses Month, she says, and yep, Stephen says, big up to our nurses. So first of all, let me start over. Tell me about your thoughts on professional storytelling and why that's important.
So this is an amusing concept to me, and I say that respectfully because as a sales professional, I've made over 10,000 phone calls, and so how I keep the lights on is talking to strangers. So it's very interesting to me that you've made that a deliberate effort. I've been doing it for 10 years. So I love it. I'm like, yes, keep doing that. You're on the right path. Because when you look at your network, they're generally going to be close to, if not the same background and skill level as you. And you can't elevate that way. So, how do you elevate? You have to connect with people you don't know. And they don't even need to be higher than you are, or they just need to be different. They can be strangers. And what's very interesting, this starts getting into sociology, anthropology. The way people connect most effectively is storytelling. Now, I don't know why that is. I might look it up later. When you tell a story, you transfer emotions from yourself to the other person and you build a connection. So if you're a nurse and you want to change careers, you want to advance in your careers, it's crucial, it's essential, it's necessary for you to have a professional story.
Hmm. What do you say to somebody who might feel that, I have been in this career, for X amount of years, or even business owners, I've been doing this business for X amount of years. I'm just used to coming and do the doing.
Mm,
That's just what I do. I don't have a professional story. What
mm.
would you say to somebody like that? Slash, I believe we all have a story that's super interesting to the right person, but I love to hear what you would say to that, I guess, objection. Like, you know what, Bruce, that sounds fine and good. I don't know if I have a professional story.
Hmm. 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 It depends on what time of day you catch me. Sometimes, sometimes
Okay.
I'll hit them pretty rude. I'm like, so you were
Okay.
never born?
Mm,
That's what you said I'm talking to myself?
mhm,
Listen, if you were born, you've lived somewhere, you've worn some type of clothes, you've ate some type of food, you've gone to some type of school or education, or you haven't gone to some type of school or education, you have a story. Your story is part of your identity. So if you don't have a story, you don't have an identity. So Plot twist, spoiler alert, you have a story.
Mm,
And where one of the first businesses I started is called Speak Well. And it was helping introverts communicate more effectively. And I teach
mm,
them storytelling.
mm.
I could teach mechanics, pacing, inflection, right? We could do all the mechanics, but at the end of the day, what I found is most effective and has the most impact is storytelling. So you have a story and it's your autobiography. The trick is if you can make it meaningful, I'll tell you the three C's. It should be clear, it should be concise, and it should be compelling.
Mm. Love it, love it. We have like so much comments already.
Yeah.
Stephen, oh, he just tagged someone else, I guess, to come in and check it
Right.
out. Um, Steve Cohen says storytelling creates participation. Yes, absolutely. And powerful. We all have a story. Somebody said that. So, yeah, Bruce, thank you so much. And I know that you're just like, even you're just skimming the top. You're not even like really
I
going
can
deep
do
with
it
it.
for hours. I can do
Yes.
it for hours.
Yes, yes. So what I thought was like so masterful about the person, your students, when I was interviewing her, I did the same thing, please introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about what you do. And she said, before I
Thank
tell
you.
you about what I do, she said, before I tell you about what I do, I want to tell you a story. And then she talked about how she
Let's go. Let's go.
um and so she talked about like how she, started off as you know, in a great situation that many would think would be great, but actually it turned out not to be so great. And here is what she did to overcome it. And here's what she learned now. And how that's what she's learned now is what she's using to impact her clients. And yes, by the way, she also does this thing. And I was just like, wow,
I
that
already
was
know who that
it.
is too. I know who it is too. I'm
You
gonna
know
ask
who it
you
is?
offline. Yeah.
Okay, cool, cool. So tell her because I don't have permission to share her story. I
Oh,
didn't ask. I didn't think to ask, but that's just why I reached out to the get it from the horse's mouth. Let me just interview the guy she worked with. But in any case, so tell me more about like that framework. Was it a framework and slash I'm a process person? I guess because I'm a nurse, I love following process and frameworks and systems. I don't like just trying stuff and hoping it works. That doesn't work for me. But I love to hear your thoughts on, storytelling frameworks and are there frameworks? Is it just something people just wake up knowing how to do?
ooh,
Um,
ooh.
and someone also said that Dr. Stephen said storytelling Storytelling builds people. Tell me more, Dr. Stevens, and clear, concise, and compelling. Yes, but Bruce, tell me about your thoughts on storytelling frameworks, especially when it comes to conveying a professional story in a relatively short amount of time.
Okay. So let's start at the beginning. That's where all good stories start. Right?
Mm,
I was transferring from a job to a different sector of the business, and it meant a move. So I moved to a new city. It's the farthest I've lived from home, and it was really exciting. It's a great opportunity. But if I had been paying attention, I realized that business was being sold, and I didn't have a job very quickly. But it's funny, you don't have a job, you still got bills, right? Can I get an amen? So I said, okay, I got to pivot. I've got to move quickly. I called my best friend. I said, what do I do? He said, hey, Bruce, you need to go sell cars. And this is where your network is so important because he sold cars. He told me to sell cars. So if he had sold insurance, he might have told me to sell insurance. So please be conscious of who you're around. If you want to change who you are, change who you're around. So I said, okay, I'll go sell cars. And I did okay. Now, one of the most powerful things, I think it was Grant Cardone. He said, you don't sell anything, you solve problems. And that changed my life. Because once I stopped trying to sell people cars and I started solving problems, I solved the transportation issue. Hey, I'm trying to get you to work so you can take care of your family. Hey, I want to make sure this vehicle is safe so you can transport your kids to and from soccer practice. Okay. Hey, I want this car to be an expression of your success. Hey, you just got promoted to a C level. This car is going to help you look like a C level. Numbers went crazy, crazy. Top 100 in the company nationwide. And what happened was, thank you, thank you, thank you. What happened was I helped people picture what the car would do for him. So here's a story. So there's a gentleman. He's much, much better salesman for me. He knew everything: cars, dimensions, carburetor, output pressure, year it was built, make and model, the engine, everything. But he didn't sell any cars. What? And I didn't know this at the time, but the difference between me and him is I just told stories. I would tell people stories about how this car was going to change their lives. So man, people bought the story. Now, fast forward, they asked me, Bruce, you're doing great. We want you to teach other people how to do it. And this is where really you would appreciate, I didn't have a process. So write this down. If you're listening, you got a pen, paper, if you want to type it, text it to yourself. If you can duplicate the process, you can duplicate the success.
Hmm.
Once I figured out the process, I did over and over again. I could predict, I could pay bills 3, 4 months in advance. Even though I was 100% commission, I could schedule things 90 days in advance because I could predict because I had a process. So the short story long, the process for storytelling is very simple. It's the hero's journey. You want to tell them where you are. You want to tell them what interrupted where you are. Why did you move? What made you uncomfortable enough or dissatisfied enough to make you get up and go? You want to tell them the journey. How did you get from A to B? How did Bruce go from barely making 30,000 a year, working 2, 3 jobs, to twice that, working sometimes 40 hours? And that's where I created New Skills, New You, because new skills changed my life. So you tell them the journey, and then you tell them the payoff. Now, for a lot of people, this is going to be a future event. The best success stories are something that's already happened. So you said, look, you follow this journey that I did, man, you can be here. You can go there. And that's what inspires people to take action. That's the process. Where you start, what got you to move, the journey, and what the outcome, the future outcome.
Awesome, awesome. So we have some more comments.
What you got?
This has been great, Stephen. I'm going to say we have a couple Stevens here, so I'm going to say Stephen A. Hart said, "If you want to change who you are, change who you're around."
Boom.
Absolutely. Anuli says, "I love this. You don't sell anything; you solve problems. I love thinking in terms of solutions and problem solving." And actually, I want to highlight that if that's okay, because
All right. Let's read
it.
Can we?
Yes. Yes, I love this. You don't sell anything, you solve problems. I love thinking in terms of solutions and problem solving. So again, there are, I think, 3 to 4 million nurses out there. Maybe we're closer to 4 million now. And long story short, the average age of a nurse is 55. They are thinking about their next chapter. They are thinking about their next thing. They're thinking about taking some of their expertise that they've had in their nursing roles or in their leadership roles to help other parts of the healthcare. Or sometimes they're also thinking about taking everything that they've learned about solving problems and impacting lives into a different industry completely. They're thinking about those other things. We didn't learn about sales in school. They didn't teach us about storytelling in school. And they didn't teach us about trusting the value that we bring to any situation in school. We just didn't learn those things. What are some tips would you suggest to somebody who is relatively new to trusting that their own value? Like you knew that you were able to paint the vision, right, related to cars. And my audience, they're highly intelligent. They're able to extrapolate principles from one situation and apply it to another. But take the story or of you being able to paint the vision of somebody getting the car that they need to support their family and getting to where they need to go. Where did you learn how to trust, I guess, the value that you could bring in that situation in terms of selling cars? Even though it was more than just selling cars, you were selling, you were selling you're painting a vision. You're selling their ability to be able to provide for their family, to be able to show up and be recognized for their financial success. You're doing other things, but like, how did you learn how to trust the value that you added to that situation?
Okay, so let's cover 3 things that you.
Sorry, it was like I asked like a gazillion questions. Let's see what you do with that. Okay.
This is my specialty. So first of all, let's talk about try and succeed. We're going to talk about changing careers. And then we're going to talk about skill building. And honestly, that could be a masterclass. I'd love to partner with you on that. If you have a connection to nurses that are looking to change their careers, I'd love to help. If I may, it's brucehill.online. It's brucehill.online. You can schedule a virtual coffee. There's no charge, just as a courtesy to Amelia. And we talk about how I've gone from fundraising to insurance to sales to service to alarms to on and on and on, from cars to software. If I've changed careers this many times without using a college degree,
Hmm.
then I know you can too. So I think, Amelia, one thing is very
I almost want to just like pause us and say, all right, guys, that's it. You just said so much there because there are so many of us, especially those in the healthcare industry, who, before we move on to our next thing, we are looking for that next degree. We're looking for that next certification. And it's so interesting that you said that. Don't let me interrupt you. You're going, let me zip it and we'll need to do, like I said,
thank
we'll
you
talk
for
more, Bruce,
emphasizing.
later.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So this is so important because for the record, I do have a college degree, but
Oh,
it's in Spanish literature. I want to
oh,
be very clear. It's not very helpful. It has not. And what's very ironic is I don't speak Spanish very well. Maybe better than the average, but you wouldn't want me diffusing any peace talks for the UN. Okay. So when I say without using a college degree, I mean it's not an engineering degree, right? It's not a nursing degree. I cannot go into a hospital and say, "Hey guys, let me triage some patients for you." Okay. If you want your loved ones to stay your loved ones, don't do it. No, but this is important. I don't like the concept of school, how it is in this country. I don't think it's worth the cost. And it doesn't prepare people to create opportunities for themselves. That's why I like skills. Yes, some things require certifications. You obviously want your mechanic to be ASC certified, ASC certified. That's fine. If you want your nurse, RN, BSN, MSN, right? You want to know
mhm.
what she's doing. However, what is very different on how I think of it, I don't need your degree. I need your documentation that you have practiced the skills. And this is how you can change careers. This is how anyone of any age can change to any career. Okay. You dream big and you start small. That's so simple, but it's so powerful. And I use it every single day. I dream big and I start small. So let's zoom out. I'm going to start preaching. Can I preach?
We're on LinkedIn too. We need to do a part
Well,
two because I have a group where that's not on LinkedIn that I think my wheels are turning, but the buttoned up version of whatever you're going to say, absolutely.
yeah. So I recognize that you'll love this process. You'll love it. Stay with me. I said, why do professionals get paid so much? Why do professionals get paid so much? And I realized it's not because they're more talented or they're smarter or they're taller or even lucky. Professionals get paid so much because they practice. Professionals practice. And what happens is they practice their skills enough times that they can predict the outcome. When you can predict the outcome, you can promise results. And when you can promise results, you can demand a paycheck. Now you're considered a professional because you practiced that many times. Did I go too fast?
No, that was perfect.
So
That
when
was
you want to
perfect.
switch careers, you have to recognize, Cal Newport calls it career capital. One of his books, So Good They Can't Ignore You. When people switch careers, they're frustrated sometimes. They're daunted because they haven't put in that much practice in that career. That's why I teach young professionals the skills they need to advance their life in their career. I love entrepreneurs, but that's not the first step. Don't quit your job. That's like step 5. You haven't been an entrepreneur before. You haven't practiced. So how do you expect to succeed? And this is where we're a little bit different, Amelia. I love failing. I've failed so many times. I've been fired from more jobs than some people have had. Okay. I will deliberately try things. I'm like, I don't think I can do this. Sign me up. So what happens is I have this unique array of experiences and I find the pattern because I've had the practice. So I can help other people skip those headaches, bumps, and bruises along the way so you can succeed the first time because I failed the first 5 times. But that's
Mm,
practice. So when I say dream big, start small, picture where you want to go, picture what you want your life to look like, and work backwards. If I want to be a professional, I need to be able to promise results. And to promise results, I have to be able to predict them. How do I predict results? Practice. That's why LeBron James is one of the highest paid basketball players, and I want to say highest paid athlete ever. Any team he ends up on gets a chip. They get a championship rings. Why? Is he magical? No, he practices. He spends 7 figures a year on his professional development. as an athlete. We can use that same framework. So what I did, because I've been an employee for so many years, when I wanted to move to a sales professional, I read every single sales book I could find. I attended every sales conference I could find. And so, over deliberate practice, I became a sales professional because I was a professional. I could predict my results. That's how I scheduled bills so far ahead because I could predict my outcome. I knew that if I solved enough problems, I'd have more than enough for my bills and some trips. There's stamps on my passport because I knew that I could solve enough problems to do that. So how can you move from nursing to another career? Start at the beginning. Read a book, find a podcast, Skillshare, Coursera, Udemy, and learn a little bit about that. Just a little bit, not everything about it, just a little bit. And this challenging starting from the beginning, particularly for folks that are 55, because they're used to making a certain amount of income. And so I do talk financial literacy as well. But what you want to realize is some places you start from the beginning, but you never start over. You start from experience.
I love that. You never start over, you start from experience. We have more comments, and I try to keep these to 20 minutes and we're at 21. Sophia Brown says, or Dr. Brown says, dream big, start small, pilot. Anuli says, oh, you know what? Nah, we're over 20 minutes, but this is, I have to ask this question. Anuli asked, can you give us an example of the hero's journey? And then if we could wrap it up, how can people continue this conversation? And I say this with all of my professional water cooler chats. I screen for approachability and friendliness. Like I said, my nurse spidey sense has yet to feel me wrong when I say that. So that means with the people that I have these professional water cooler chats, you can reach out to them directly. Let them know that Amelia told you to go and reach out and talk to them because I have. But yes, so let's end with that one. Ask that question. Can you give us an example of the hero's journey? And yeah.
Great question, Annalie. I strongly encourage you to Google this. And I say that politely because the concept is so simple and you've seen it before. You've seen it before. One of my favorite movies, fun Bruce fact, the first credit card purchase, my first Amazon purchase, and my first DVD was the movie Shrek. And in the movie Shrek, he lives in his swamp. He's happy. He's an ogre. And then all these little fairy tale creatures come into his swamp. And he's like, I want them out. I want my peace. I want my space back. That's the interruption. So he goes and he talks to the culprit and he says, hey, right. And so he has to go on a journey. He has to go on a quest. If you go do these things, you can have your swamp back. So then along that journey, there's interruptions, there's obstacles, there's learning, there's an evolution that happens. So he ends up, and it's almost always a circle. He ends back up at his swamp, but he's a different version of himself. That's the hero's journey. When I said I was selling cars, but I was okay, and I wanted to get better, so I solved problems, and I practice and practice and practice, that's the hero's journey. You've heard it before. You've lived it before. You may not have seen it before if you didn't know what to look for. So that's something we can talk about. Awesome. That's the short version. We could talk about that.
Yeah. And go ahead.
I was just saying, interest of time, best way to reach me, New Skills New You on Instagram. I did create a page, brand new, less than 40 minutes old. New Skills New You on LinkedIn. I'm all about personal and professional development. So if I can help you succeed, I absolutely will.
Awesome. And Anuli, yes, the hero's journey. There's lots of people that have talked about it from different angles, and I don't know if you're anything like me, especially those of us in the healthcare environment, we do well when we hear something from a few different perspectives. It's just with anatomy and physiology, how I learned it from the textbook versus what the instructor said versus the YouTube videos, it all worked together. So definitely Google that. And, reach out to Bruce and ask for a call. He has, I'll get those links from you. You set up a call and ask him that question again and, see what happens. Or ask me, I'll give a different response. But in any case, long story short, I look forward to further collaborations with you. Don't know what that's going to look like, but I definitely know we're going to be talking again. And thank you all so much who've joined us, those who've commented, and yeah, we'll absolutely continue this conversation on a different platform. So yes, he shared, and I'm going to update this too with your contact information. I'll tag you on LinkedIn as well. But again, these are professional water cooler chats because I want to normalize talking to strangers. I didn't wake up knowing how to talk to strangers. I'm an introvert by nature
Mm.
myself. I'll probably need to take a nap a little later on today. But what that just means is that, if I can talk to people that I don't know very well and the world doesn't explode, surely you can think about who you can talk to today that you don't already know. So, Bruce, thank you so much again. I look forward to staying in touch.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you for the opportunity to serve.
Awesome.